I'm here today with Sandi MacCalla from the LifeSkills Academy. And Sandi, we've spoken a little bit about what your mission is, and you have specifically an interest or a focus on youth, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And LifeSkills Academy sounds like something that a lot of people maybe would like to know more about. I mean, it's something that sounds like we could all use a little bit of.
Well, as one of the people that I'm connected with and affiliated with in the work that I do says that life skills is not optional. We all learn it in some way or another, at some level.
So you could probably also call it Hard Knocks Academy, right?
It could be Hard Knocks Academy, exactly. But hopefully learning it a better way. So or learning it incrementally and learning it the best way and how it actually works in today's world. So there's certainly a lot of practices that have been out there for a long time, but those practices have changed. The world has changed.
Yeah.
So how do we get our youth, and we're starting with youth, but we also quite often get asked the question, well, what about us adults?
Yeah.
And they're on the list. They're on the list.
So is there an age range that you specifically focus on?
I focus on 7 years old to 70. So that's
a good range.
That's my range.
And so when you talk about life skills, that covers everything from you do like etiquette sort of thing?
Do etiquettes, we call it more social intelligence anymore because it's bigger, it's emotional intelligence, it's knowing the culture and knowing global cultures today for many of us. And so there's more to it than just being etiquette and manners and how you set a table.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more to that. We also cover financial literacy. We have people who teach wealth management, and they teach it for kids as well as adults.
Man, I wish I'd known about this before.
I know. Who of us would have benefited? Exactly.
Yeah.
We also have people teaching chess, but the life skills aspect of chess.
Oh, interesting.
So they're teaching because there's integrity in there. There's how do you figure out how do you strategize what your moves are and what have you. So they're teaching that aspect as well.
Oh,
and yeah, so it's a very interesting aspect. We also have public speaking for kids.
Nice. Because
how many of us wind up doing public speaking on the fly, and then
here we are
finding a way to resist it? Exactly. Finding a way to not have to do it.
Right.
Because we never really got the opportunity to try it hands-on. And that's a lot of what we do with life skills is the hands-on experience of it. So that it's not you're not winging it later on.
I've got to think that would be a huge boost of confidence to an individual who's basically just launching or any life phase. If you feel confident that you have the skills to address a social situation or to stand up in front of a group or to present, or that you have been instructed in kind of how things work.
Well, I think it actually, my take on it is, and this isn't, nobody has this in print anywhere, so, but my take on this is that one of the stressors that we have for kids today is they don't have some of that hands-on experience.
You bet.
And they don't know what they're doing, they're winging it. Who they affiliate the most with is their peer group, and their peer group doesn't know.
Right.
So, so where do they find this out?
Absolutely.
And parents are very busy, their schedules are heavy. Schools are heavy with what they're doing, so who's teaching the kids? Who's launching our generations?
Yeah. So now you mentioned your age range is 7 to 70. You have obviously a lot of people that are you're pulling from the local community.
Exactly.
And now where does your faculty come from?
The faculty comes from business people. What we're looking at is that most education has an academic base. And most of the people who are in business have had an academic exposure. So they already have that foundation, but then they have the foundation of how does it work in life.
Right.
And so that's where we want to capture the information for kids is once you have the basics, then how does it actually hands-on work from there?
Right. That's really intriguing. I think we've all heard about the boarding school approach. We've all heard about we all know, actually most of us know about the Hard Knocks
approach. Absolutely. Exactly.
So is this kind of like a mentorship program? How exactly does that work?
No, actually, we do have classes that are specifically set up to set up the foundation of information for kids to get their hands on it, get a chance to test it out, to ask questions, to really understand how it works. And if they want additional, they can do coaching outside of that, and they can coach with our educators who are business professionals. So we do look for business professionals, and we do, while we're a nonprofit, we do actually charge for our classes, and we do pay our educators. So it isn't, we aren't trying to do this without good funding and good resources and quality in what we're doing.
So what are the components you look for in faculty? What are you pulling from there?
Great question. We look for people who are proficient and are well known in their trade already. So they've already got a track record. And they're people who not only have a track record, but they have a heart for young people as well. So that's a key piece of it too, because any of us could be proficient in what we do and what we're skilled in, but we may not want to teach anybody else. You know? It might be, I just want to be the star and that's it, you know. But in what we do, we want to make sure that these are people who have a heart for kids and have the ability to teach kids as well. So it's important, because this has to be done incrementally. We can't take a 7-year-old person and teach them something that we're teaching a 17-year-old.
It's got to be age appropriate.
It's got to be age appropriate. Yes, and it has to be done in a way that kids can receive the information and try it out and get hands on it and really experience it.
So is it primarily classroom settings or is it individual?
Classroom. It's all classroom settings, and that is our preference, and that's what keeps us keeps our pricing realistic, in my opinion, because by doing a classroom, then it's really optimizes the educator's time, the educator's efforts, and the results. So
interesting. How did you come about creating this approach?
Well, it's as always, it's the track record that any one of us goes through in life, and saying, well, if I had the opportunity to do something, I'm at retirement age, but hard for me to get my arms around that idea. So I thought about what could I do, and this dream came up 20 plus years ago when I first started teaching etiquette. And I realized at one point as I was teaching kids about social practices that there are other things that they're not getting. There's other things they're not being taught. And finances is the one that came up the strongest for me at that time. And I thought, gosh, it'd be so great to do that. And I'm not a financial person either, but I've been in the financial element in business for a long time. So I have that understanding and how it works in the real world in business, and how to be successful with that. So, and everything from real estate to running communities to running corporations, all that arena of financial involvement. So that's what made me think about there must be a way. And again, in our culture, which I think our culture has got a lot of opportunity, a lot of wisdom, a lot of talent, huge amount of talent.
Absolutely.
That we are sharing with each other, and that we're not bringing up our next generations. We're not handing it off.
Well, it's interesting. You can actually find a YouTube video on almost anything you can imagine, but you can't sit down with someone and pick their brain on a YouTube video.
No, and in fact, I had a wonderful example last month when I went and got my haircut. I was talking about my life skills work that we're doing, and and I talked about the fact that there's so much on YouTube and there's so much on the internet to learn all these things, and she just started laughing. She says, "You will not believe the number of people that come into me to fix their hair because they learned it on YouTube." And I thought, I can't believe that, but yes, I can.
Well,
so
actually, that's funny. You remember the old, used to be an infomercial about the Flow Bee for doing your hair? You hook up to the vacuum and
Exactly.
It's like, I'm sure the results were astounding.
Well, in which direction?
Exactly. Yeah. So, what do you, when you're pulling together a course, Does that have a kind of like a, say, university course where you have like a 100 to 400 level? Is that kind of a progression that you're seeing, or?
What we're doing is all of our educators are independents, and so they also, this is in addition to what their work is. So we actually have them develop the curricula, and then we have a board that reviews all that and says this is what we believe should be taught, and this is the framework, and this is the temperament of the class that we would like to see.
Right.
So we then hire them as a contractor. And so as a result, really it's people that are in the business, that are hands-on with it, that are developing the curriculum for this, so that it's fresh and so that it's pertinent to what happens today.
Yeah.
And so from there, yes, we are looking at, as we develop a more foundational piece of what we offer, we are looking at having 101 and 102 or 201 or whatever you want to name it.
Yeah.
We are looking at having that all the way up through to address what the 70-year-old wants to learn too.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I would think there'd be just huge opportunity for doing deep dives into some of those subjects.
Totally, exactly, and that's exactly what we hope to do. We also are teaching mindfulness, which I think is a key thing that kids in particular are starting to really gravitate towards, and kids get mindfulness. It's very interesting to watch them when you start to give them some of the mechanics of it or some of the pieces of it. They really do open up, and they get that mindfulness works for them. And so we just had a session at Crossroads where we did an info session for people, and we had some mindful stones there that kids could write a word on that was special to them, and they had their own stone, and it's a reminder of what is important to them.
Right.
So one of the classics that happened in that event, a young girl, 5 years old, came up, she got her stone, she got her pink ink pen, and Dad was there and he helped her spell courage on her stone.
Oh, that's fabulous.
It was fabulous. I mean, it was just like, oh yes, that's exactly, because they get it, kids get it.
Yeah.
So.
That's really interesting. Kind of going in maybe a little different direction. I know I was really stunned when my daughter, who she has ADD, she's been dealing with that since 3rd grade.
Yes.
And she was probably a freshman in high school. And she said, I have started doing some meditation. That was the furthest thing from my mind when I was a freshman in high school.
Exactly, yes.
I can't even conceive of having been in a place to receive that information, let alone trying to practice it.
Exactly, exactly.
And so it's really intriguing, I think, seeing this generation and what they are open to.
And they're understanding how it can help them. They're understanding how it can really impact them positively.
Absolutely.
So that's exactly what we want to do, is give them those tools so they can be, basically, at the end of the day, they can be successful in their life and having good skills.
So what are some examples of courses that say, a high school student might be looking to learn? What would they might they come to you for?
Well, we do feel that financial is really important. We feel public speaking is not only important for having that skill, but it's almost becoming mandatory in work anymore.
Sure.
To have the ability to present and to present influential information to either buyers or investors or anyone in the organization. So that has become a much stronger requirement in our work world. They're also looking for career development. What we do and what we seek out for career development is not just a list of colleges and specialties. We look for testing that kid first, saying, where are your strengths? Where do you lean? And based on that, is there a career that you want to follow? And I'll give you an example of one that came up. One of our career development people sat down with a teenager, and he said, I want to be a sheriff.
Oh, interesting.
So he knew that was Brooklyn, I want to be a sheriff. So she got into the whole spectrum of what does that look like, what is the, where are the jobs on that, what do they pay, and so forth. And when she got to the pay part of it, he said to her, well, how much is the pay? And she said, average is about $60,000. He says, it's under 6 figures. Next.
Yeah.
So he shifted careers right there.
Priorities right there.
Exactly. He had a priority that he
Yeah.
was not going to be addressed in that career.
Interesting.
So helping people to do that, I feel also helps them to know what kind of education they need.
Right.
Sometimes they do need a college education, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes they need hands-on experience instead.
So you're kind of part guidance counselor.
Yes.
You're part vocational school, sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you also have a component of the actual kind of philosophical, I guess.
Yes. Yes, philosophical does come into it.
Mm-hmm.
Philosophical comes into it from the standpoint that of equipping people with the best skills for them to be successful in life. There's only really two things that we need to do on this planet. We need to thrive, and we need to get along with others and help them thrive. That's really, that's about it.
Yeah.
That's the curricula. And so find the ways to fulfill that and to do it in a way that it doesn't mean that someone has to go and get a doctorate in something, and it doesn't mean that they have to take the minimum wage job either.
Right.
So someone where there's a huge spectrum of choice and a huge spectrum of information that we need to make available, and we need to help people guide themselves. Many times people know inside where they're going.
Yeah.
They know what they like. They know it, and they get pulled into watching on television these situations or people in lives that have these huge assets, jazzy cars, and how did they get there?
Yeah.
You know, without any explanation of what they did to make that.
They just parachuted into that situation.
Right. Exactly. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. So we want to do that in a way that makes it reasonable and really fulfills what people are geared for and who they are.
Right.
I think when we talk about authenticity, this really tries to get to the heart of that.
Absolutely. So how long has the Academy been in existence?
We've been operating for 2.5 years, and a lot of it has been to formulate how we're structured, what our market is, and how we're approaching the market, and how we're approaching it, because it's not just the market of education, it's the market of attaining the educated people to come in and participate in this.
Having those resources.
And I just know that there is a lot of business resource out there and skill and talent that can help to transition kids naturally through their life process.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's like we need to use that.
It's really interesting that I love the full circle kind of idea of this. How you've got the, kind of the generation who maybe is feeling at this point that they haven't got that much to offer.
Exactly.
There's a lot of folks out there who are like, I've reached the end of my career.
That's right.
And what's next?
Exactly.
And yet you've got that next generation who's like, I need help and I don't know where to go and who am I going to talk to?
Exactly. And mentorship can be a part of it, but that's almost the same as coaching.
Sure.
And so that's real one-on-one. We wanted to also be in a situation where students are in amongst their peers, because they often learn from their peers too. They learn different experiences and different takes and different perspectives, as well as cultural impact.
Well, it seems like there's also a little bit of reinforcement that happens with a lot of the lessons too. They get to bump up against each other. And
exactly.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct on that. Absolutely. It does help. In fact, I often recommend when someone's taking a social intelligence class for kids, I say, invite your bestie. Bring your bestie in, because your bestie will keep you accountable.
Yeah.
Really.
Accountability is such a funny thing.
I know.
You can, the best of intentions
Yes.
frequently are only realized by having somebody else pushing you to do what you said you wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly. Or seeing in you your potential.
Right.
That to me that's the real icing on the cake.
Right.
When somebody else sees your potential and encourages you in that direction, that's really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. So, where's the best place for people to find you?
We are on the website, we're on Facebook, we're in social media. We are under LifeSkillsAcademy.org, and it's spelled the French way out Academy, not that we're leaning towards French.
Right.
We just wanted to be different.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
So that we weren't in a lineup with everybody else. And so we spelled it with the E-M-I-E.
Right.
At the end.
And I'll put all of that information, you'll actually find it here.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So we're on all those social media. We are putting bite-sized information out every week on things that help people on their day-to-day stuff.
Yeah.
Such as one that I just recently put out and had a lot of people open it up and read it and see it, was if you're in a bad traffic situation, try to figure out where the 18-wheelers are and follow them.
Oh,
Because
interesting.
they're talking to each other and saying, that lane's open, that lane's not. And so, I mean, just
Absolutely.
helpful stuff. You know?
Yeah.
So had a lot of people check that one out.
Oh, that's fun.
Yes, exactly. So we're trying to put that out there as well to let people
Right.
know that we are looking at practical information all the time and getting that information to people just to make life work better.
You bet.
That's it. That's really
Absolutely.
the end game there.
I love this idea, and I'm just really thrilled that you're doing this.
Thank you.
And I look forward to catching up here a little ways down the road and kind of hearing
That'd be great.
how this evolves. This sounds
Yes.
really interesting.
Well, we've gotten several things that have happened. Right now, we are working in one of the local schools here, Bellevue Christian,
Mhm.
starting to do their end of the day programs for them, and we've also connected with a large movement. Actually, it's an international movement
Oh,
that's
really?
going on about life skills that you don't hear about very much. But there's a tremendous current going on today
Mhm.
of getting together all those people who teach life skills in some format to make people's lives better.
Right.
And so, and it's in 90 countries right now. It's probably got over 2,000 members that are representing this
Really?
this movement. Yes.
And what are they calling the movement?
They're calling the movement Global Presence is the movement. It's was facilitated by a woman who started Parenting 2.0,
Mhm.
and her basic premise is that parents, unfortunately, have not been given the information of how to raise their kids
Right.
to become adults.
Well, there isn't a manual.
There's not a manual, exactly. It's fly by the
Yeah.
seat of your pants, and
Yeah.
sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Absolutely.
So is that fair? You know, so what we're trying to do is really get a lot of that information to people. If you look at what's going on just in the industries that are happening, the whole coaching industry has blossomed
You bet.
in the last, 10 years?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
So as an adult, people are going and saying, I didn't learn that part. I need to know this part because it's important to my job, it's important to my
Yeah.
success, it's important to my self-esteem, all of that. So,
Just another way to get plugged into kind of what your potential is
exactly.
and really kind of grow as a human.
Exactly. I, like I said, I'm at retirement age, and I just recently connected with one of our career development people, and I said, so test me.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to be when I grow up?
Put me through the paces.
Put me through the paces, exactly. And so we came out of it, and it was like, yeah, you're right on target. It was like,
Oh.
thank goodness.
That's affirming.
I'll have to change gears all of a sudden.
Exactly. You don't have to go become an Olympic swimmer now.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, it was just interesting to see that I had somehow followed the path that I'm good
Yeah.
for. So,
That's fantastic.
but not everybody is that case.
Yeah, right.
I remember in college being in graphic design and feeling like I signed up for the wrong class. You
Yeah,
know? So,
yeah. So, actually, maybe you should tell everybody, what is it you are looking for in the way of both students and faculty? Who are you looking for?
Okay, we are looking for faculty that are people that are already successful business people. They know what their game is and they know how to teach it. And they, again, have a heart for the community and a heart for people growing up. Whether it's that they're in second grade or they're in their seventh year of their profession, you know, whatever,
Right.
wherever they are. So we're looking for people that want to give back to the community. as well in that way, and giving their gifts that they have cultivated of what they specialize in. We're also looking for parents to reach out to and let them know about these classes available for their kids, because as we were at a trade show and this one woman came and looked at all of our options, offers on the table, and she says, "Oh, I've got to sign my daughter up for this class." I said, "Oh, well, tell me about it." It was on personal organization. I said, "Well, tell me about that. It's interesting." She says, "Well, I can't teach her." Well, that's really honest of you. You know?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Thank you. So there are things that parents are launching their kids, and they want to launch them successfully.
You bet.
They want them to have the best. And I don't blame them, but how do they get the best?
Yeah.
You know, there have been situations where people told me I was packing my kid up to go to college and realizing there's a whole bunch of things I hadn't told them yet.
I just had that experience this fall.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's a whole bunch of things they're off without any information on
Yeah.
that you know about already.
Yeah.
You've walked the walk and talked the talk.
Well, and it's terrifying as a parent to realize that, well, wait a minute, there's so many things that we should have been talking about all that time. You were so busy getting your homework done. I was so busy getting my career done.
That's right.
And
That's right.
now we're at this point where, how did we forget this?
I know, exactly. And it's not that wasn't important. It's that the time wasn't available.
Yeah.
And in some cases, things that we don't feel comfortable with, it's hard to say, okay, I've got to get tuned up on financial management and how to invest and teach my kid on this when I'm struggling with my own financial picture too.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's challenging. It's very challenging.
Well, and I think, most of us,
fair.
well, yeah, most of us got kind of on-the-job training as to how to manage finances,
Totally.
how to, manage a household, how to, kind of pull all those things together, and we're still trying to figure it out.
Exactly. No, that's true, and that's because I've had a number of people come up to me and look at what we're offering, and we talk about kids, and they look at us and they say, "Well, what about me?"
Yeah.
I don't know some of this stuff either.
Yeah.
And I agree with them. There's a lot of stuff that a lot of us had to figure it out the hard way.
Yeah, or not figure it out ever.
At all. Yes,
Yeah.
avoid it somehow.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of that.
Right, exactly.
Well, Sandi, I so appreciate you coming to talk to me today, and I look forward, like I say, to seeing how this adventure unfolds.
I am
This is
too.
really fun.
I am too. It gets more fun by the day. We keep talking to different people and different ones that have different things that they can share with people that are just high value and very, very affirming and helping people to really excel.
Yeah. Is there anything that folks should know as far as kind of where your vision is for this?
My vision is that we are starting with kids because we want to get a generation going that has a lot of this in their experience already.
Yeah.
And then we believe that parents will look at it and go, "I didn't get that either. I'd like to have that information too."
Yeah.
And then they would then come along. So from a structured process, we're looking at how to make this naturally grow in a sense. And so we want to take this into the schools first, then we want to take it into the colleges, then we want to take it into businesses that may want to help their staff do better.
Yeah. That's excellent.
In their own life, outside of the work world, because I can tell you right now, when your world comes apart financially and you're at work, you're a mess.
Well, that affects all of our productivity.
Absolutely.
And the productivity of everyone around you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so where do you find? And of course, at that point, when you are at a certain age, you feel like, I can't tell people I don't know this.
Right.
It feels it's too raw to do that.
Yeah.
And you feel like you're exposing yourself to having missed the boat somewhere.
Well, there's failure, there's shame, there's frustration,
Shame,
there's
big word, yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, and it shouldn't have to be.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have shame associated with not having received the right information.
Mm-hmm.
That should not ever be the case.
And yet, we hear about it all the time.
We do, all the time.
Yeah.
I would, and the person who is the activist in the Parenting 2.0 program,
Mm-hmm.
I have come to, she's opened up my eyes somewhat as well as Marlene Cover from Southern California. She also says, you know, we have people who have had a horrible upbringing and have wound up in a life of crime because they don't know a different way, a better way.
Right.
And then we take them and put them in prison and punish them more.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
duh.
Because that's the best benefit to society all the way around.
No.
It's like, how can that possibly ever work out?
I know.
Yeah.
It doesn't. And so
Yeah.
we are taking them and making them even more disadvantaged. And so
Right.
we're just burying them.
Well, and we have no idea what the potential is that we're throwing away.
No, we don't.
The benefit to society that we could be realizing.
Right.
So,
And you know, at the end of the day, there are no throwaway people.
right.
We all come with talents. We all come with gifts. We all come with dreams.
Yeah.
We all do. And so getting those to come to the surface and be energized and enlivened, I think that will make a huge difference in our cultures. Huge difference.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be one culture or another. It can all still have the cultural flavors
You bet.
of the
Yeah.
different cultures
Yeah.
and still be helping people really be their most and their best.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, Sandi, thank you again so much.
thank you.
Really appreciate it. Again, Sandi MacCalla, LifeSkills Academy, and I'll be sharing a bunch of information as to how you can reach Sandi.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You bet.